If you can do these two simple things, you can make $220 a day selling digital products. You can see here below, these are two different offers I run that are completely faceless, all low ticket. The most expensive thing in either of these funnels is $97. I just added something that's 147, but all under 100 bucks. And you can see I've done $9,400 revenue on one, 16,200 revenue on the other. And this 9,400 one guaranteed this will be over $15,000 next month. This offer was running at around $18,000 revenue a month, but this month it just crashed. Overall 30% profit margin, net profit margin on both these offers. You can do the math on that. Just to show you that I somewhat know what I'm talking about. See, a few years ago, I set out to find a business model that I could do that could make me 100 to 300 bucks a day. That I didn't need a big team, didn't need to do a bunch of complicated stuff, and didn't need to risk a bunch of money to do so. And I stumbled upon digital products. I had sold coaching, I had sold digital things myself, but I'd never ran ads. I'd never built funnels. I thought all that stuff was really complicated, but it's not. And today I'm going to teach you exactly how you can do the same by focusing on two simple things. Now, there's going to be all this other stuff that make these products, make these digital offers work. But if you can figure out these two simple things, it'll make everything else in the process much easier. Let's go. So what most beginners think they need when they start a digital product, they think, I need a problem I've personally solved. I need expertise or credentials for the thing, or I need something I'm passionate about. That's going to be the key. Well, we're not making organic content here, okay? And you have AI. So guess what? I don't know if you know this. You know everything. AI will tell you everything. So you don't need credentials. You don't need expertise. AI knows more than people with expertise. So try to throw that out of your mind. And also know that when you look at stuff in that way, you're thinking about this from the wrong frame. You're thinking about the what and the how, which, that's what your logical brain would want to do. But what you need to focus on is the who and the why. And I'll explain all that by the end of the video. You'll get a full understanding of what I'm talking about there. But if you focus on the what and the how too much, it's going to kill you before you start. You're going to spend weeks looking for a niche that you feel qualified for, passionate about. And in reality, you're going to get to the end of that and you're going to go, I'm probably not that qualified anyway. So you're going to restart that whole process. Trust me, I've been through it like so many times. And then you'll either pick something that's far too broad when you land on something that doesn't really resonate with anyone, or you pick something too personal and you can't even write objectively about it anyways. You can't remember where you were at in that moment. You just remember what you feel like now because you've solved that problem. Either way, you never launch, or you launch something that nobody wanted in the first place. Now on to the two simple things. You just need to learn what I'm talking about, and then you can use AI to figure the rest of this out. Step number one, find a hungry market. What is a hungry market? A specific group of people in active pain. They're already spending money trying to fix it. They have tried things that haven't fully worked, and these people are not hard to find. You look in Facebook groups, you look at Reddit, you look at YouTube comments specifically. YouTube comments are a gold mine. People can be anonymous on Reddit, but a lot of the times they're still like they have a profile attached to it. And in Facebook groups, obviously they're a personalist, they're like a faceless Facebook profile, which is not common. But one thing that's different on YouTube is you have all these people who are anonymous, who have nothing to do with their actual name, their actual email. They're not associated with any of that. And they're just commenting things like completely based on they're watching some video and I'm just going to show you emotionally how I feel about it. That's all the YouTube comments are. So that is really where the gold is, because people are extremely honest in YouTube comments, unless they're just trying to be mean to someone, which you see that sometimes, but still that's coming from a place of honesty when they're doing that, because a lot of them are just anonymous. So check the YouTube comments to find desperate markets. And the qualifier here, like I said before, isn't expertise, it's proximity. So have you been around these people long enough to sound like them and know how they talk? Have you been in these YouTube comments? Have you been in these Facebook groups? Have you been in these Reddit threads? Or think about your real life. Do you have people in your life that have certain problems that you're around and you hear them talk about it all the time? Some examples. Okay, your wife's a nurse. You know how much nurses talk about being burnt out and all the things they talk about on TikTok. I didn't include that one. TikTok's a big one. Maybe you've watched a family member deal with pain. You know how they describe it. You know the problems they have. You know the language they use. You know what it's like when it's early in the morning or late at night and they're just kind of rambling about what is wrong with them. Or a teacher, you know exactly what Tuesday at 6 p.m. feels like. You know what it feels like to prep for the next day. You know what it feels like to come home from a bad day at work. Things like that. Think about people in your real life that you know how they talk. That's far more important than what you personally know about how to fix or problems you even personally know about. And 3 questions to test if the market is hungry enough. Can you describe this person's Tuesday in one sentence? It's the basic day of the week. Can you describe how they feel on a Tuesday? Are they already buying solutions that aren't fully working? So there's different stages of awareness. I'm not going to get super into that, but I like to focus on this problem aware, solution aware state, somewhere there. So I'm not convincing people they have a problem. I'm not just giving them discounts on a product and trying to sell like flash sale stuff. Okay. Trying to tap into the existing desire they already have. And can you find a million of them on Facebook? Which for most niches, that is the case. Okay. Now that you have your hungry market, we're going to talk about the hook. When I say the hook, we're talking about what is said on an ad. What's like the first 3 seconds of a video or the image on an ad. I only run image ads. So just the image of the ad or the headline on the website. But overall, the hook is kind of the theme. Like, what are you talking about that's unique to other things that when someone sees it, they instantly know and they are intrigued by this solution? So most people, they write a hook that describes the product, like directly talk about the product. Sounds like an ad because it is an ad. And then people stay in a logical state and they scroll by. They don't get emotional because they don't resonate with the hook. But the real job of the hook is to enter the conversation already happening in their head. One great way to know what a good hook is, or if you just want to go find good hooks right now, is on YouTube. All the titles and all the thumbnails are meant to get attention. If you go into a niche and you look at what the most viewed videos are, the most commented on videos, those hooks are already in people's heads. Those titles are already in people's heads because they see that and they already relate to it, unless it's just some crazy clickbait stuff, which, it doesn't really happen on YouTube that much because the watch time would be bad. I'm not going to go into all that, but you understand my point. So sounds like something they said out loud last Tuesday. It makes them feel like you wrote it specifically for them, like it's talking specifically to them, not just describing some product or describing some features of your product. Now, let me give you 2 different hook examples for, let's say, an older male audience. And I'm going to go deeper into this right at the end of the video because I ran a product just like this. So you can see how it worked for me, and you can steal this if you'd like. But number 1, we cook 10-minute morning mobility routine for better flexibility. One, that's kind of difficult to even get out of my mouth. It's just a lot at once, but also it just describes the product. It could be for anyone. Like if you read that, maybe you're like, I'm kind of interested in that. You're never going to buy that though. No emotion, no specific moment. It sounds exactly like an ad. But a strong hook. I was tired of moving like a rusted gate every morning until I found this 10-minute iron body secret. Rusted gate is language of an older man. It's not your language that you think is cool. It's their language. Every morning pins the exact moment they feel it. Every time they wake up in the morning, they feel this pain. Until I found it, creates a before and after scenario, which they can put themselves personally in. And this doesn't sound like an ad. It sounds like a person telling a personal story. And remember that the hook is also your proximity test. If you know the market, the hook almost writes itself. You can personally see this too. If you're watching this, assuming you're in the make money online space, you're trying to make money online. When you see something interesting, when you see something that stands out from other hooks that relates to you personally, then you're probably more intrigued to watch it. If you watch this far and you saw my title, which will be something like, if you can do these 2 simple things, you can make $220 a day. There's a reason it's like that. That's a hook that draws you in. Okay, well, if I can figure out these 2 simple things, I can make this much money doing this thing. So you personally fall for this all the time. I fall for this every day. It's just how it works. Not fall for it. It's not the best word, but I personally know who I'm talking to in these videos to an extent. So I know how to write these hooks. It's not that hard to do so. If you're struggling to write it, you don't know the person well enough. If I'm struggling to do these titles for videos or I'm struggling to run ads, okay, I probably don't know that market well enough. Probably shouldn't even be doing that in the first place. If that's the problem, go back to step 1. Spend more time reading how they talk before you write a single word. I read a lot from Eugene Schwartz. I read Breakthrough Advertising, and I watched a lot of seminars that Eugene Schwartz did. And he talks about how much time he puts into the research process before he even writes a single word of copy. And this was back in the 30s or 40s or whatever the time was. So if he can do it then, reading books, talking to actual humans, but you don't have to do those things. You can just ask AI to generate you deep research reports and read those. Then you can do it now. Now, why these things work in combination? Why does one not work without the other? A hungry market without a hook, you found the right people, the right market, but you can't stop their scroll. A lot of times, if they are a hungry market, they are a desperate market, they've seen so many solutions. So your solution or your hook is not unique enough. The market doesn't matter if you can't speak their language. If you say something completely different from the type of person you're talking to, they're going to obviously think it's AI or something fake, or they're just going to scroll right by. It's like not even going to register in their head. However, a caveat is some markets are so desperate, almost any unique solution will help them. But I wouldn't even go searching for those. When I'm talking about that, I'm talking about like debilitating health problems, but are you really going to come up with a solution for that? That's probably not the most ethical thing to do. But a lot of biz op markets are like that too. There's one, I forget the name of the thing, but it's a popular like thing you listen to make you more money. It's some kind of brain thing. Obviously, the people that are like dead broke might fall for something like that because they think, okay, like I can't make any money, but if I listen to this audio track, I'll make money. Your hook doesn't have to be that unique when you're promising something as insane as that, but I don't recommend doing that. That's a great way to get in a lot of trouble. And then a great hook without a hungry market. Maybe it's clever, but it's pointed at the wrong people, and you might have a high click-through rate, but zero sales. You've optimized the wrong thing. It's how these things feed each other. The deeper you know the market, the easier the hook becomes. Like I said before, the hook almost always comes directly from the research. A lot of times, the words in your hook, if you have people call these power words in copy, like big words that stand out and that resonate with the audience, that should come directly from stuff people have already said, specifically in the YouTube comments. You're not writing copy, you're reflecting their language back at them. You're reflecting what they say in the comments, what they say on the forums back to them. And the actual process for this, write this down. This is like all you need to do. Read reviews like on Amazon, books that are in the same type of niche, Reddit threads, Facebook group posts, and like I've said, YouTube comments. Search up that niche and just copy all the comments, put it in a doc, put it in AI and ask it for patterns in the language, for what words are said the most, those type of things. Write down those exact words and phrases, not your interpretation, the actual words they use. What I mean by that is maybe you're like, they kind of mean this. No, don't even worry about that. Just write on the exact words. You don't have to really figure out what they mean because AI can figure out what they mean and you can kind of interpret that data because it will be far more objective than you are when you look at these things. And specifically, look for a sentence that keeps showing up. That's usually your hook. If you see someone complain about something over and over and over, there's not enough this, or I can't find a this. I've tried everything in this. That's the type of stuff that you want to look for. That's going to be your like golden hook. So if you stuck around this long, congrats, because I'm going to give you an exact niche that I ran, exact offer that I ran that was profitable off the bat. The context of this, I ran it in the mobility space, the older male mobility space, because I know someone around me who struggles with that. And I just knew what they complained about. I knew kind of the things they didn't want to deal with. So I was like, okay, I'm going to start some of that niche. I didn't love the niche though. I might give some more context to that, but really I couldn't figure out how I'm going to sell these people more on the back end. And I don't want to coach them on mobility. Okay. I know a lot about fitness. I know a lot about health, but I don't know a lot about mobility. So I just realized I'm not going to be able to get the average amount someone pays me up high enough to where this is going to make any sense. So as soon as it became not profitable and the ads like fatigued a bit or whatever, I was like, I'm just giving up on this. I don't see a path forward. But the headline and the subheadline I used, which came from researching tons of stuff on forums and YouTube. Like I said, I was tired of moving like a rusted gate every morning until I found this 10-minute iron body secret. And then a subheadline, the 10-minute standing sequence that loosens your joint before the day loads them, without getting on the floor, without gym, without equipment, without anything that sounds like a wellness routine. So the important part of that are those withouts. Without getting on the floor. I read tons of places that these guys just hated getting on the floor because it was hard for them to get back up. So they don't want to do something that they have to lay down to do or sit down to do. They want to stand up and do this thing. Without a gym, they don't have time to go to the gym, or they just don't like going to gyms. Without equipment, so they don't have to spend money on equipment, or without anything that sounds like a wellness routine. That probably didn't even need to be in there, but I just know how a lot of those guys talk and think, so I added that in. And maybe it worked, maybe it didn't. I didn't test it long enough to even split test without it. Then you can see the ad here, why most stretching routines fail working men. And there's the complicated stuff on the side, then the simple one. And the guy's standing up, he's on a chair, like very relatable. Too long, too awkward, too much floor work. This one starts standing. So I really played on this standing thing because I saw that everywhere. These guys just hated getting in the floor. But overall, why the hook worked, I think the rusted gate thing was big. That's not something that I would say. It's not something I would even think of, but that's how these guys were talking. They were talking about their body felt like a rusted whatever. And I just use gate because that one's something people universally understand. Before the day loads them, speaks exactly when the pain happens and why. I've already explained that part. You want it to kind of give a visual before and after transformation, and that you understand like exactly what's happening to these people. And then the 4 objections in one sentence, all the stuff I talked about. And if you notice this, it sounds nothing like an ad. It sounds like almost a personal testimonial or a PSA type of thing to the audience. So when they see it, they don't immediately think, oh, ad, I'm scrolling past. They just think, oh, this sounds like something for me. And I probably should have touched on this more, but you want things to feel native to them. You don't want your ads, your sales page to be a huge what is this when someone sees it. If you're targeting a specific niche, like you already should know what kind of content they're watching, it should just slide into that. It should not be it should stop the scroll. It should catch their attention, but not be something so far out that they can't even find relevance to this. So overall, you're looking for this native feel. Your hook should feel native. Your ad should feel native. Everything should feel like they're already consuming that stuff. This kind of just eases in there, and then the rest of the stuff sells them. So learn hooks, learn hungry markets. If you have any questions, you can DM me on Instagram. Check the description. Peace.